Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dads, listening to Tomcats, talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom Podcast. This is Winter is Blooming, a Game of Thrones rewatch podcast, and it is time for our first penultimate episode on this journey. We've got Season 1, Episode 9, Baelor, written by David Benioff and D.B. Weiss and directed by Alan Taylor, originally airing on June 12th, 2011. I am Colton Robertson. I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you, and welcome back to Tavarus Pennington. How you doing, homie?
Doing all right. Living a lovely life.
That's what I love to hear. And I'm living a lovely life rewatching Game of Thrones right now. This episode, obviously we know what comes at the end. We were ready for it all season. We've been talking about getting to this point. We knew at the end of this episode, Ned loses his head. What I did not remember was that this episode was fucking stacked in every other way.
Yeah, we got a lot of progression with Daenerys. That was insane. That I was like the things that happened to Daenerys, every little thing that kept happening, I'm like, okay, this is where it stops, and then they come back in season 2, and then they'll continue it, and then I'm like, okay, so that's happening now.
Next, I'm genuinely left in a place where I only remember one thing from the finale, and it's her walking out of the fire.
Yeah.
I don't remember fucking anything from the finale.
Yeah,
I don't know where this is heading.
It's actually insane that, we have all seen the show, we know where it goes, we know where it ends, season 8, and, I actually have no idea what is coming in this next episode, other than Daenerys walking out of the fire. That is literally the only, that is it. But how?
I think
you know,
it really just kind of almost rewrote our expectations of pace in a show, and I didn't notice this until watching House of the Dragon. But even Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon are very different in the way that they're paced, which is why that was such a big topic of conversation, I think, with House of the Dragon. We were watching this thinking everything is happening slowly but quickly, because I don't know, the writing was just really specific for Game of Thrones. They didn't throw in any scenes that weren't the absolute crux of whatever plot that they're telling. That wasn't something that you absolutely needed to know. Which is great, because on rewatch, you're forgetting all this shit that you needed to know, and you're like, holy shit, that happened. Yes, that happened.
You just get so wrapped up in the giant event that it's nothing else in the episode matters after that. You're just like, well, fuck, Ned's dead. What the fuck are we gonna do now? There's so many things that happened this week that I didn't expect to happen until season 2. I forgot that Robb comes back victorious from battle, having kidnapped Jaime Lannister in season 1. I forgot that we're introduced to Shay in Tyrion's tent in season 1. She is in this show longer than Robb Stark.
Yeah.
Yeah, she married.
She outlasts Robb Stark.
Do they get married actually, or they're just
I don't think they're officially married. I don't think that ever happens, because he gets officially married to Sansa, which kind of
that's right
sends them into a deep spiral. But nah, man, this was a brilliant episode, and it was far and away for me the best looking so far. I thought Daniel Minahan in episode 6 dominated, but this Alan Taylor just fucking wrecked it.
after watching this, it was clear that this was my favorite of the season. Like, and I was pretty confident that it was probably going to be, just judging off what was going to happen, and it's just, I knew it was going to be my favorite, like, enjoyment wise, because the hype is building up. But then, like, just the writing was so much better than I remembered, and so much more happened story wise than I remembered. And I think that's really, like, that's the difference between Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. Is House of the Dragon is the span of a much longer period of time, and they focus on the crucial, very, very, very important events over that long span of time. But what Game of Thrones does is it's over the span of, like, what have we done, like, total in these episodes?
I mean, like, the last couple episodes have covered like 3 days.
Yeah, the whole thing, the whole show is over a span of like 4 years, I want to say. I remember, like, them noting that in an interview with George R. R. Martin, because he was talking about, because I think my suspicion, oh yeah, that's what it was. It was the interview that he did, I think, with maybe HBO Max, but it was with some other fantasy writer, and he was talking about like the show moving too fast, and it felt to me like it was like George's idea for it to go that way. But he's like, but you got to understand, right? Like, telling like, in what way do you do that where you don't just get 4 episodes with young I want to say Daenerys Rhaenyra,
No, yeah, that's what's crazy is, for shows set in the same universe, they're vastly different, surprisingly so. And it just gives me hope for whatever else they want to do within this universe. You know, I like whenever they can maintain a sort of style and feel, and kind of feel similar, but in their story structure be vastly different. Like, we cover over a quarter of a century.
Yeah.
In House of the Dragon season 1.
I feel like, do you even cover that total in all of Game of Thrones?
No. Like, Game of Thrones covers max, like, 5 years.
Yeah.
Like,
that's nuts.
You don't even get the amount of time that was taken in the time jump in the middle of House of the Dragon.
And that's the thing, is that, like, the events that are happening, like, we've covered 3 days, but they have made every event that has happened feel just as important as the super big events that are happening in House of the Dragon. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, I don't know if that's lazy writing to have it, it's not lazy that they're just picking bigger events and spreading it over a longer span of time. It's just a different story that they're telling.
Necessary. Like, the story that, because we're going to stop doing that. Next season will not cover 25 years. It's supposed to be paced a lot more like the last 3 episodes of season 1 were.
I mean, I guess it's really just the world building season. It's like, we're building the world, and now here we go. Here's everything you need to know.
Has covered a few months. Like, I would go, this season's covered 5-6 months, maybe. Like, it's covered a span of time.
Yeah, Bran has been, like, from Bran being pushed out the window, he's been in, like, asleep for a while. Yeah, like Catelyn says, she's been here for months. She's been waiting there, or was it just a month that she was waiting there for?
I think it was
sitting by his side. Okay. So it's fair to assume that it's been like a couple months.
A couple episodes ago, Ned tells Varys, I've been here a month. Why have you waited to tell me
That's true. Oh, yeah. And Robb is like, my father still sits down. Like, he's, how long before they take, that's okay. So yeah, it's been like two and a half months, I guess. Yeah.
3 months, yeah.
Yeah, maybe even 3. Okay.
Yeah, this is it's an impressive season of television, and this was definitely the best episode of the season so far. Alan Taylor being the director of this episode might be a vaguely familiar name, because Alan Taylor is he directed a bunch of episodes of The Sopranos. He does go on to direct a bunch of episodes of this, and he directed the Sopranos spin-off movie Many Saints of Newark, and he directed Thor: The Dark World.
Okay, that was an interesting addition there. It was all going, like, I don't know, it was all like, oh, okay, wow, good, fair, and then okay, an interesting take. a very that one's doesn't fit with the rest.
I would say it's not as well written as the rest, but that's
style-wise,
pretty good looking movie. It's a pretty good looking movie.
That's true. I guess the direction of it
wasn't bad.
Of Thor: The Dark World.
Wasn't terrible, but the story just kind of loses itself. But I don't think Alan Taylor's to blame for that because he's helmed a lot of some of the greatest TV work we've ever seen ever, and a bunch of I think 7 episodes of Game of Thrones, 9 episodes of The Sopranos, an episode of Boardwalk Empire, 4 episodes of Mad Men.
This is the director of episode 9?
Yeah, Alan Taylor's been around.
Damn.
Some episodes of Oz, The West Wing, Sex and the City, Deadwood. Okay. This man's a TV director. Law and Order. Yeah, he's done some good shit.
Those are all awesome shows. Like, I almost feel like it would be better to just be someone who's I just went and worked for all these amazing TV shows, did what they do as good as they do it, instead of being I just did Law and Order for 20 years.
I just chilled back. This is you know what? I could make the same thing every single week for fucking years.
Right.
No, ultimately, a big HBO name, Alan Taylor. He's stuck with HBO a lot.
Wow.
Ultimately, I feel like that's where D&D were getting by the end of Game of Thrones, which was we can't get shoehorned into Game of Thrones for the rest of our life because there's that much content. And honestly, I think George R. R. Martin wouldn't be a sad man if his show or his universe was still being told via television or movies even in the next 20, 30 years.
Oh, absolutely not. It's so interesting to think about what the Song of Ice and Fire franchise has become. Because there was an express sentiment from George R. R. Martin when he started the books years ago that he absolutely wanted to make something that could not be adapted properly. He wanted to make something that if it was transferred to TV would be too big and too ridiculous that they would have to shorten it up and tone it down and absolutely do something brand new with it, but maintain he never had a vision of it getting adapted, and now it is the biggest television franchise ever. Amongst them, maybe not the biggest ever, but it's up there. It's up there by it can't be far off.
No. I'd say it's numbers wise, I think MASH, and is
MASH,
number one technically, sure, but when Game of Thrones has been out for that long, and it's weird now because it's not just people tuning in at the exact same time. Its metrics are weird because it's streaming and stuff now. So it's how do you compare those numbers really?
Right.
But
I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. There's this weird thing with this podcast where I was expecting to do this Winter is Blooming as just a fun thing for us to do. I didn't think it would get a lot of listens because I didn't think a lot of people would be I'll rewatch Game of Thrones for the next 72 weeks. These have been our best episodes every week they've come out. People either people are rewatching Game of Thrones or they're willing to listen to us talk about it even though they've already watched it, which is it's a testament to the franchise. The show itself is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, it's I don't know, I think they just spent so much money that the show will look good for so long. I don't know. That's the thing is what advancement can we really make in filmmaking that will make the show not look good anymore? They shot on location. They shot everything for real. It's a lot of it is just, it can't get better. And they just did stuff for real. So it's the show will be good for however long it's out. And I am having a blast rewatching it now in way more detail than I've ever rewatched it before. And
right,
it's 11 years after the show's come out.
Right. Well, it's just completely original, and it plays fantasy in a way that I don't think it had been played before on a large scale, which was as a political drama. Who thinks of it? Who thinks of Lord of the Rings at its foundation, of course, is a political drama, but we think of it I speculate when I use. Yeah, I just want to add the note that I speculate when I use Lord of the Rings as like a metaphor, because I've actually never seen or read Lord of the Rings.
Me too.
I just kind of just have an idea of what it is.
I have a headcanon version of them. Yeah, yeah. I think I've watched like an hour of the first movie, I fell asleep and woke up for the end of it. So it's the extended version. So it was like, yeah, but I'm kind of I'm right there with you. Is that this is like fantasy, but you could see it happening in the real world too. You can't really see Lord of the Rings happening in the real world.
Exactly. Yeah, well, specifically season 1 of this show. Like, this could be historical fiction right now.
Yeah, when it goes to dragons and the Night King, it's when it starts to go a little bit more like, okay, this won't happen in the United States or whatever. But like, but no, like right now, like if you cut just a little bit of fantasy out, it is like this stuff probably legitimately happened, and George R. R. Martin based some of his stories off probably real history, like real lineage. Like, I don't know, this is a legitimate story. Like, it's happened in real life many times.
Fantasy we've gotten, like, I was watching it just like, man, this is the because I'm also watching Willow right now, Disney Plus fantasy series spun out of the 1988 movie directed by Ron Howard with Val Kilmer and stuff. Fantastic show, by the way. I strongly recommend you watch the movie and then watch the show. Very, very fun stuff. But it's very classic fairy tale type fantasy. Like, where it's like, oh yeah, like we're dealing with some real deal fantasy elements. When Rob was given his speech to the soldiers after they won the war, or won the battle, and he was like, have we freed my father? Have we saved my sisters from the queen? I was like, oh, this is some fantasy shit, like, when
that's
like,
true.
And I love it. Like, it's not like that is feasible, but it was a fantasy movie or show ass speech. Like, it was, like, have we saved my sisters from the queen? That's awesome. I love it.
I don't know.
It's so fantastical in all the ways that we like fantasize about, and it's ridiculous. And what's weird is like, so I had a moment walking through one of the museums here in New York the other day, where this is a traveling exhibition that's been going since the 80s. It was called The Dinner Party. I can't remember the artist name, but it was in like their the feminism section of there's a feminism like center in this museum, which was something I had never seen before. Like, not like feminist art, but just like a feminist section, like to like,
I get
it was like devoted to that. And there are multiple artists in there, but anyways, it was literally just a huge, like, floor with like this triangle shaped table that you might see in Game of Thrones. Like, I'm talking massive, like the size of half a gym court. Like, it was huge. And it had all these seats, like, or like decorated, like you might see, like, I'm thinking of particularly the scene in where Tywin and when Tywin and Tyrion are like traveling on the road or whatever with their army. I'm thinking of like what you might see for a feast that they construct out there. Like, these are real like cultural symbols that I think are used in many ways that are like recreated originally for George R. R. Martin's purposes. Which I just think is a super refreshing thing, because there's something to be said when you see something and it reminds you of something that you've never really seen. You know what I mean?
Right. No, yeah. That's fair. That's fair. Man, we're about 20 minutes in now. Are you guys ready for a scene by scene breakdown?
Yeah, I guess we haven't even gotten to these. Like, when we get to that scene too, it's gonna be nuts. So I think,
it'll be
might be a good idea to start breaking her down.
It's a goodie. We spend a lot of time in the Riverlands this week, and that is where we will start. Then we'll go to the Wall. Then we'll go to Lazar over in Essos and finish it off in King's Landing. So let's begin in the Riverlands, where the Stark army, led by Robb, has reached the Twins, held by, the Freys at the crossing of the Fork and the Trident River. Theon's like, shooting down ravens. Every time they send a raven out, he's like, nope, I got to see what you're saying. Let me see that. This one was just a birthday wish to his niece. And he's like, Rob reading it like, damn, we just cost this child a happy birthday wish. You can what's really cool about Rob throughout this episode is that like every little thing that he does that he doesn't want to go to war. You know, like he has no interest in being at war. It's what he has to do. And every time, even small things like this, he's like, it's a birthday wish for his niece. Like,
I don't know. I think there was a fair strategy point made here, though, because he does see that, and he's like, man, like, wow, we just shot down a birthday wish for a little girl. And then someone says, like, but that could just be him testing to see if he can get messages out. And if he is, then he sends one to Tywin and lets us know our whole army's here, then we're fucked. You know, or whatever. He lets him know exactly how much is here. So it's like Rob, although very compassionate and very on the right side of the thinking, I feel, for like a leader for an army. You know, I'd want my leader to be like Rob. Right. The king of the fucking north. Dude, I'll ride for him.
In the north.
But like, he's not been to war. He's been at Winterfell pretty much his whole life, you know? He's just been living in a castle, hasn't seen war. He doesn't really know all these little things yet.
He respects that. Well, and that's the thing, is that like while he has a distaste for it, he recognizes it as a necessary evil. I think, you know, obviously he recognizes that it's something he has to do. It's not something he wants to do. He literally put it off for as long as he could before deciding he would march south. And, ultimately, I think he made the choice he had to make, but yeah.
Similar to what John does.
For sure. But, so, there's no word making it out of the twins. They're trying to keep that shit wrapped the fuck up. But to enter the castle would be, a bit of a stretch for Rob. So Catelyn is like, you know what? I'll do it. And, you know, I'm gonna be watching Catelyn close for the next couple seasons because she's a fucking G.
She went in there, and you know whether she got the best deal. You know, I don't know. I don't know if
got the deal that killed them all.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Man. Do you think like what if Rob does go in there first? Does Walter Frey act exactly like he does now? And he's like, I still don't give a crap about you. Like, man, you know, good enough on you to come in here yourself, but like,
I think what Walter says here, where he's like, Lannister, Baratheon, Stark, Tully, why should I spend a second thinking about any of you? You know, like,
and talk about a repulsive guy, though.
Oh my god. Lord. What an icky motherfucker, dude. That's disgusting.
Like, and like incest and stuff is like we see it with Targaryens and you know a little bit everywhere else. But this dude's just keeping it in the family, and it's only like is every single person in there his kid? I think every single person in there, I think, is his kid. Yeah, everyone calls him father. Everyone calls him father. Everyone. I did not realize this the first go around. His whole house
not good.
Is his children.
No, yeah, like when Arya comes through and slaughters them all, she kills the Frey. Like, that's the thing that's crazy about Arya destroying House Frey, is that there are so fucking many of them. Yeah. And she kills all of them.
All of
them. You know, like
piece them into a pie.
Dude, no, but whenever they were about to head in there, and Catelyn's like, he would never harm me. You know, he's been my father's bannerman for years. He would never harm me. Everything will be just fine. Come 2 seasons from now, exactly, you're absolutely fucked.
I think that's the Starks' just main weakness. They see they see the good in people too much. They don't
right.
They don't think of the evil that people can commit.
They don't think of just like how cutthroat this Game of Thrones. Like sometimes I feel like they're like sometimes they're like, oh, you know, Crown could have it, could not. There's somebody coming for that goddamn crap. They want it.
Always is. Always is.
You gotta be ready.
Yeah, well, and like someone literally goes, she was like, he would never harm me, and then someone was like, he would if there was profit in it. Mm-hmm. And literally, he harms them when there's profit in it.
When there's profit.
Like I was just floored by the amount of foreshadowing this episode had, which was intentional. Like these are not the ones that just like, oh well, it happened to work out like that. No, like they knew what they were going to be doing in 2 or 3 seasons.
And that's the thing is that's the amazing thing about the show is that you can watch it first, and these lines mean nothing to you. The first watch, really, it's just filler lines, like almost, and then you rewatch it, and you're like, oh my god, every single line matters. Like every single line, it relates to something, or it shows how why the character made that decision a little later on more fulfilling, or something. It's like there's always something more that you can get out of the show, and it's like that's the thing that I think is what is making me realize why this season is held in such high esteem. Like it's not just the first watch that's so good. It is every watch after that just gets even better, like over time, because once you like have like, I don't know, I'm just have so much of a better understanding of the Game of Thrones universe now through this watch. Like I'm understanding way more. Like I'm gonna be honest, I didn't catch like probably 70% of Game of Thrones.
It's a lot. Like, no, and like you wouldn't be alone in that. Like to have the comprehension necessary to know exactly everything that's going on at any given time the first time you watch the show, you got to be some sort of mega fucking genius, man.
Yeah.
Like you have to be doing what we're doing right now. You have to actually be breaking down every episode, like, and talking about it in detail, like, in order to get it on a first watch.
Yeah, 100%. But she ultimately does get to go inside to the House Frey and finds Lord Walder Frey has not yet taken up arms. Yes, I swore some oaths. I said some words. And when called up, he says he had been preparing to march and was just waiting for all his forces to arrive. But really, he was just waiting to see if the Starks would beat the Lannisters or if the Lannisters would beat the Starks, and he was just gonna do whatever the fuck based off that. And now, as the Tully's army has been defeated and River Run is held by the Lannisters, he's like, why now must I help you guys? It doesn't make a lot of sense. You're taking I swore some oaths to you, sure, but I also swore some oaths to the king, and now Joffrey's the king. Y'all are traitors. So what's up? And all the while smacking his 15-year-old wife's ass and just being the most disgusting motherfucker alive.
So that's not only his 15-year-old wife, it's a 15-year-old wife, right?
Daughter, yeah.
Like,
is that how it works? I couldn't remember if it was like that.
I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe it's his granddaughters. Is it granddaughters or daughters?
No. I think it's either a granddaughter or a daughter. He just takes, literally, if any woman is fertile, that's all he does. That is all he does. Like, that's it. Every single person in that room calls him father. Not I don't know. I don't think someone called him. I don't know. Maybe that's just a House Frey thing, but I think everyone is his kid. Or, like, grandkid. And then he has kids with his grandkids and all the in-between. So,
like, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, we need to go ahead and put Walder Frey. Like, I know this is a fictional character, but just in case, we need to go ahead and get him on a list.
Yeah, I don't know. This man, like, that's the thing. This is the extreme of the Game of Thrones universe. This is like the extreme house that takes it to the ultimate level. This is, I guess maybe.
Disgusting.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to have Arya.
Your mother would still be a milkmaid had I not squirted you into her belly. What the fuck? You disgusting little man, you.
Yeah, no, dude just sucks. Dude sucks.
But so they go ahead and negotiate for a while, and they strike a deal. The phrase will join Rob's cause, allow him to cross and commit troops to his army. But, what else? Arya must marry one of Walder's sons. And you will have to marry one of his daughters when the fighting is over. The way that Theon starts giggling and he's like, Did you see his daughters? And Catelyn's like, yeah, one was.
See, this is a deal with the literal devil, and they didn't know, but at the same time, you gotta know. How do you walk into a place like Walder Frey's house and be like...
She says to him, if you want to cross, you have to take this deal. And if they don't cross, there's no way they have any chance of winning anything. They'd get slaughtered.
I think there was another option. I think like they actually just take the twins. They didn't ever think of just actually.
Yeah, that was my other idea.
Through, like they were like, this is our only option. We have to take this. But like,
I don't think a
their men
Daenerys
weren't
takes.
there. Like I don't know. Like the twins is powerful in its like just in its bridge. Like it is funneling people. That is like very strategic. That's the point of the twins. But like the Starks had so much more men that it would not have mattered. They would have taken some losses, sure, but like. It's that important, you know.
And I don't think this is a moment where I feel like Rob, at moments like Jon, was not serious about being king, because I don't think a Daenerys would not take the twins if they're making these kinds of demands. Like
that's
you're just like,
did.
Yeah,
that's something we'll find throughout the course of this watch. Is the way she rules is the opposite of what Rob did here.
Yeah.
She's like, these are my terms. You will agree to them, or your land is mine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Like,
yeah.
And it's effective as a conqueror.
Mm-hmm. It is.
But that's like Rob gives that speech later, and he's like, "One victory does not make us conquerors." You know, like he's like, that's not what I'm here to do. Like. His goals, he makes them clear. I'm here to free my dad and get my sisters from the queen. I don't give a shit about anything else. Like,
but then he relates it back to everyone, and he's like, and to release the crown from the tyranny and from all of the suppression, and everything that, you know, it's. I think he says like, obviously, why I'm doing this is for my family, yes, but then you're coming because of your oaths, but also to free the crown. You know, it's for a fight for like democracy, you know, or for not, I guess not democracy, for
independence from the kingdoms,
for a different monarchy.
Yeah.
Well, to be their own kingdom and not be incorporated with, like, that's what's cool about this, is that's what they end up getting with Bran on the throne. They go ahead and let the North be the North. Sansa's queen in the North, and that's it.
Starks really do rule, huh?
Yeah, they hold a lot, and like you realize a lot about just how much that means.
They really won. Like, man, it really seems like the Lannisters won, like, overall, but it was really just for the like span of the show. But like, as far as the reign,
the ending,
why is it so much harder to kill Cersei than it is to kill Robb Stark? Why is it so much harder to kill? Like,
Cersei's smart. She doesn't let anything get by. She assumes the worst in everyone. Like, she's the ultimate, like, I'm not going to let anything happen to me.
Yeah.
Like, literally, when she was going to die, she went ahead and blew up a building of everybody that was, like, important in the city at the time.
Yeah, right.
She did blow up that entire, yep.
And I mean, like, if this is Cersei here at this crossing, she goes, then fuck yeah, let's go ahead and destroy these motherfuckers. Like, there's no reason for us to make deals when we could so thoroughly dominate them. And like, that's the thing, is that Rob has more respect for the long-standing houses and stuff. You know, like Catelyn mentions that, you know, the Freys have ruled the twins for hundreds of years, centuries. You know, like and like it's brought up throughout the show that is usually what influences choices as to whether or not fuck with a house is how long they've been standing. And that's something Daenerys doesn't give a fuck about later on. Whenever she's got Samwell Tarly's dad and brother there, and Tyrion's like, no, wait. Like, they're a long-standing house. Do not end a house that has lived for centuries, like, just like that. And she's like, I gave them the choice, like, this had to be done.
We had to, And I mean, it's just like, I feel like that kind of resolve is obviously corrupting, but like, how is the resolve of the Starks not equally corrupting? Sure, they get a new chance, but they also have like literally destroyed everything that their family they had to destroy, or I guess everything this family stood for was destroyed in them ultimately sticking to their morals,
which is like, it's not corrupting necessarily, but it is house destroying. Like, them being nice ruined them.
Yeah,
like
it did.
They got absolutely fucked because they were nice people. Like, I mean,
that's sad.
No, yeah, it's crazy. It's really sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it wins them a battle for today. But they'll all be wiped out, save for a few of them here in a couple seasons. So,
this is
next, the Lannister army is preparing for battle, and Tywin is telling his son Tyrion that he means to use the Hill Tribe forces to give them an edge against the Stark army, so they will be in the vanguard. And Tyrion's like, surely there is a way to kill me that is less detrimental to the war effort. I love that he's like, dude, if you want to kill me, just fucking kill me, but you ain't got to sacrifice the war for me.
Yeah.
And Tyrion goes ahead and storms on out, and he goes back to his tent to find that Bronn has found him a companion for the evening named Shay.
Here she
and
is.
I was like, holy shit, Shay's in season 1.
Shay, yep.
That's nuts. Like, I thought, like, literally, if she's showing up in the penultimate episode of season 1, and the Starks die in the penultimate episode of season 3, and she dies in the last episode of season 4, she's literally in the show for a longer span than Robb Stark and Catelyn Stark for like maybe 1 or 2 more episodes. Like, it's barely anything more, but it is longer, which is like crazy.
And
I didn't even realize.
Arguably plays a similarly important role.
Yeah.
In that she's kind of the part of the end game when it comes to what Catelyn and Robb were fighting for. In a way, they were at war with Tywin, amongst other people, but with Tywin predominantly.
No, yeah, and like I loved watching this scene with it in my head that this is the beginning of a love story, which is it's so fucking sad
to hear, like, to see the start of it. I'm like, oh, this is really cute. I'm seeing the start of Tyrion and Shay. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And then I'm like,
for as long as I am with you, there will no harm will befall you. The moment I ask that you do not lay with another man for as long as we are together. Lays with his father. Bro.
We can't even conceive of the transgression that had happened.
No harm will come to you for as long as we are together. The moment they're not together anymore, he strangles her ass.
Damn.
No,
holy shit.
There are a lot of lines that are just like, oh man, this is, no.
Yep.
Fuck.
She did get a lot of gold though in the meantime though.
She did.
She did get a lot of gold.
That it was overflowing out of her hands and falling onto the floor.
That was heartbreaking. Yeah.
That's a tough one. And we'll get there here in a second, but Tyrion does take an immediate.
I guess before I did want to just quickly, my favorite line almost came from Tyrion whenever he first entered the tent. And when he was rambling about like whatever the Moon Brother, or like he says ferocious. Last night a Moon Brother stabbed a Stone Crow over a sausage. 3 Stone Crows seized the Moon Brother and opened his throat. Braun managed to keep Shaga from chopping off the dead man's cock, which was fortunate, but even still, Ulf is demanding blood money, which Shaga and Gunther refused to pay. Like, the way he said all their names, too, like the delivery that he had of that line. Like,
and the way Tywin's like, well, if there is discord amongst your soldiers, it is your fault. And he's like, fuck you, you know that's not true.
Yeah. I just love Peter Dinklage. Like, he doesn't earn the performance nod of this episode. Like, he doesn't earn. I don't think he's getting the line either here. But like, he's awesome. He's just a really funny part of the show, and I think he like just adds just a whole different dynamic to the show.
He's got so many dimensions. Like, in this episode particularly, I think we see a lot more sides of Tyrion than we have in episodes past. You know, like he could get the performance nod in this episode, and that's
actually, now that I think about it,
like, I mean, like, I gave mine to Sean Bean as Ned Stark because of the first scene in this episode and the last scene in this episode, which are the only scenes he's in. But like the things he does with those scenes are fucking crazy. Like, he's incredible.
You know what? I guess I gave the performance and the character nod to Ned and Sean Bean. But I think really the character nod goes to Tyrion here for how much character development we actually got with him. Because Ned, you don't really, I mean, yeah, he dies. And honestly, the only thing that happens to his character is he gets publicly shamed and his reputation is ruined in the eyes of the public. So, like, is that really the character moment I want to remember for Ned? You know, I don't know.
It is for me, and I will get there whenever we get to that storyline. But I will save it for when we get there.
I guess it is for one reason, and that reason is good enough. Shit. Okay. I'll wait till the end of the episode to declare my favorites, I think, actually.
I get you. They Tyrion and Shay spend the night together, and they go into battle the next morning. He's like, fuck me like it's my last night on this earth. And
damn near was.
And there it was. Bronn goes off, finds a woman for himself.
I love how Bronn is just sitting there as like they start. Or I guess that's after.
That's a little later, but
never mind. That's after. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, they fuck a lot, I guess. Fair enough.
Yeah, they go ahead and fuck here, and then Bronn comes back when they're done, and they keep hanging out. Tyrion, Bronn, and Shay then play a drinking game the night before the battle.
Ah, yes.
Tyrion makes observations, and if he is correct, the person has to drink. And he guesses correctly for Bronn that he has been beyond the wall. Interesting. I
didn't know
that. Yeah, I know. Like, I don't. It's never important, you know. Like, it never comes back up or anything.
He was just a badass.
Yeah. What brought you up there? Work.
Okay. Cool.
What were you doing up there, homie?
Yeah. I bet your father hit you, but my mother hit harder. God, I love Bronn. Bronn is just the coolest. Like,
he was
so
close.
Cool.
You know, I had to give my character nod to Ned Stark. But I was like, if there's a character in this episode who, like, genuinely, personality-wise, I just love everything about, it's Bronn.
He's just a real-life person today in Game of Thrones. Like, if you threw a real-life person that just didn't give a fuck about anything, just like, all right, there you go. Go in Game of Thrones world. It's like, he literally just does whatever's good for him. And it works out pretty well for him, you know? I mean, like...
You killed your first man before you were 12. She was a woman.
Yeah, he had everything. He had to come back for every single thing. Like, everything that Tyrion was like laying on him. He's like, well, no, it was a woman. Well, actually, my mother hit harder. Well, actually, I went to the wall. Was
Shay looks at him in disgust when he's like, she was a woman. And she's like, she swung an axe at me. Like, what the fuck do you want me to do? Just
that's fair enough.
That shit?
That's fair enough. I mean, if I'm not gonna lie, if someone swings an axe at me and I have a weapon in my hand and I'm good with it, I'm probably killing
him. There's to do at that point. Tyrion then turns his sights to Shay. And he guesses, your mother was a whore. Drink. Okay. Your father left when you were very little, never to return. Drink. Have we established the rules of lying?
He immediately asks, your mother or your father didn't leave you and your mother wasn't a whore? Okay, now you have to be lying. He asks two questions and he's like, okay, hold on.
I was like, damn, Tyrion.
I guess he's getting drunk, though, which I didn't realize is that she was getting him drunk so that he would tell his story. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't notice that, like, he gets drunk.
He gets
like, actually
gradually more drunk as the scene goes on.
And it's very beautiful with how the story goes.
Peter Dinklage very good in this role. Like, every time he takes a drink, his speech starts to do that a little bit more.
And do you know what's amazing? Why he gets drunk? It's because he's actually feeling love again, and he's feeling like vulnerable. Because the last time that he got drunk was whenever he was 16, and all this was set up for him. Whatever, he actually got drunk, and he says he's literally like, "Imagine a day where wine would actually affect me, and it's affecting him right then and there." You know, it's like it's I don't know. It was just a really cool like. I don't know. It's crazy that in Tyrion, like the character of Tyrion, that's why like I don't know. I'm maybe thinking of him replacing Ned because Ned's like the obvious choice. Like obviously this episode, which is probably why I have to go with Ned. You know, but like I'm it's trying to
one with Ned, man. We got Tyrion the rest of the show.
That's true. That's true.
But Tyrion can't read Shay, and it's kind of making him like really like her more because that's been his whole bag. Is being able to read people, know what they want, and being able to promise them things that he may or may not be able to deliver on. And it's really drawing him in. But Bronn reveals to Tyrion or to Shay that our little lord here was once married, and he's like, "How the fuck did you know that?" Well, I fight in the Lannister army. And I play dice with a lot of them, and they talk. And
they talk.
They're like, "So what happened there?" And he's like, y'all don't want to hear that one. That's a rough one. That's a real bad one." And Bronn's like, "I bet me and the lady here could tell far worse stories than what you have for us." And he's like, "Fair enough. Let's get it then." He explains that when he was 16, he and Jaime were out on a ride near Casterly Rock when a young common girl was fleeing from a couple of gentlemen, bandits, trying to sexually assault the woman. And while Jaime chased off those gentlemen, Tyrion comforted the girl, took her to heal her and give her some food and drink, whose name was Tysha. And they ended up getting drunk at a local inn, and he became so enamored with her that Tyrion felt like he wasn't an ugly dwarf anymore. Later that night, she had sex with Tyrion, the first time he was ever with a woman, and Tyrion was putty in her hands, absolutely in love. And they bribed a drunken priest to marry them in secret. And 2 weeks later, This Septon sobered up and told Tywin. Tywin found out. And Tywin thus made Jaime tell the truth. That the girl was a prostitute. Jaime set the situation up to do something nice for his little brother. And the way this scene like cuts to Bronn every once in a while just sitting there like, ooh.
That's like Bronn
his mouth is open. He's looking down. He's not making eye contact. He's
Bronn is the audience.
I can't believe I made you tell the story.
Yeah, Bronn is the audience. He is literally a person from today in the show. You look at him. We're doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing Bronn's doing while I'm watching. I'm like, eesh. You know, like, and I'm having like it's like oof, and then he just keeps going. It's like it just gets worse, and it's like oh. Yeah, so I mean,
the girl was a prostitute. Jaime set the whole thing up, and then Tywin brought the girl in and instructed his guards to have sex with her. She was paid very handsomely, a silver coin for each man. And I was forced to watch, Tyrion says. another cut back to Braun, just like, oh god,
yeah, yeah. What do you do? What do you say?
Yeah, that's a rough one, and he's like, yep. She had so many partners, a silver coin for each man. She had so many in her hands that they were overflowing and falling onto the floor.
Jesus, it's a lot of men.
It's a lot of dudes. It's a lot of dudes.
The Lannister army is
large,
extensive. Sadly,
many a man. But Shay's like, you're a fucking dummy, dude.
Yeah,
you should have known that woman was a whore. And he's like, I was young and dumb. Like I don't. And she was like, a woman doesn't invite another man into her bed 2 hours after there was an attempted rape on her. It's just not a thing that happens. And he's like I said, I'm not saying I was smart about it.
Yeah.
Damn, Shay.
Yeah, no, she's not very helpful here.
He was 16.
It's like he hasn't thought about this, though, you know? Like, he's obviously thought of this. He thinks about it all the time, I'd assume. He's probably like, man, I was so dumb. It's probably the one thing, like, I was so stupid in it. Like, if I just was a little bit smarter, this wouldn't have happened. And that's probably why he takes to his wits so much, is that he made a mistake there. Because of his wits, his life was ruined so much.
A mind needs books, it's like a sword needs a whetstone.
And he's after that moment, he wasn't going to let anyone outsmart him or let his wits get the best of him.
No,
so
Shay does go ahead and try to ease the pain. You know? She mounts him and starts kissing him, and Braun going, whoa, and then like gets up and walks on out of the tent. Like, Braun a real one for that, real man. Like, not making a comment, just getting up and leaving. Like, not being like, okay, y'all have fun. He's just like, fair enough.
Nothing more to say.
Tyrion's like so broken. He's so sad after telling the story. And then he's like, yeah, as I said, like, I was so dumb. And then Shay just goes, you're still dumb. And then climbs on top of it. It's like, how do you feel as Tyrion there? You know, you're like, oh my god, like, okay. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. I guess I am going into battle tomorrow, so like, whatever. Yeah. And then, just seeing Braun just be a bro, you know. I don't know. It's just
a bro.
Oh man,
this is up there for favorite scene. I absolutely loved this whole interaction. But
they're just hanging out. Yeah, they were just hanging out. But yeah.
The next morning, the Lannister army finds that the Starks have stolen a march on them. They're a mile north when Bronn comes to wake him up, and they're about to be attacked and have to prepare. And he gets all armored up. He's ready. I love the way that last night, I don't know if you noticed in that scene, throughout the whole game, Shay is wearing the
Tyrion's like leather vest,
which I absolutely love. And I don't know, I just needed to note that real quick. But he goes ahead, he heads out to his tribesmen. He goes, "Hill tribesmen, gather round." And he gives them a rousing speech.
I'm like, how did Tyrion end up giving the hype speech? Like, I did not expect
of the
Tyrion to be the middle.
And I love the way that they're like, fuck yeah, half man, half man, half man. They're like, I love this guy, you know.
Tyrion's even like, he's kind of like, okay, I like
this.
And then
they start charging into battle.
Literally gets taken out by one of its own.
Hammer.
One of his own people.
You know, we talked about this in like a episode before. We're like, yeah, he goes into battle, but like, does he get hit right when he gets into battle? We were like debating on how he got hit. We couldn't really remember. And I love that it's like literally not even in the battle whatsoever. Like, it is literally in the hype speech as they're running to like I don't know. It's before the battle even started, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Just makes it even better. But like, but no, he gave him the speech that needed to be said, and hey, look what happened. You know, and
they dominated. They dominated. I mean, for other reasons, but
they're supposed to.
He regains consciousness on the back of a wagon, and Bronn's like, "Hey, look at you. You're awake."
Calls him a shit warrior. That's the first thing he hears when he wakes up. You're a shit warrior.
Tyrion goes, "Did we win?" And Bronn's like, "We wouldn't be having this conversation if we didn't." And
Braun's always just so chill. You're just like,
he is. Like the fact that this dude's just a sellsword.
Yeah, no, like he's like excited to freaking put his life on the line. I don't understand it. I couldn't understand it. Like
basically
I'm like,
the Din Djarin of Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
kind of like just Mando of Game of Thrones universe.
He loves fighting and fucking, and he's gonna do anything he can to fight and fuck. That's his plan.
If Mando was more of a pimp,
of the other missions in the Game of Thrones world, hey, I mean,
what are you gonna do? Nothing like a woman after a fight. But Braun's like, yep, we won. And like, I'm just like, it's so funny to watch him proclaim we won. Like, I don't know, it's just so interesting to me. Like, I'm like,
when you fight with someone though in battle, that's a bonding experience unlike any other. I feel killing people right next to you, shit. That's so someone like Braun. That's like he's found some new brothers to him. So I don't know. That's like their probably a favorite hobby of people. Like it's probably a hobby to go to war for most people. Like for some,
right? No, but I love the way that Tyrion's like, so yeah, we won. That's great. And Tywin's like, yeah, not so great. It wasn't 20,000 men. It was 2,000 that came and marched down on us. And he's like, what about the boy, Robb Stark? And he's like, he wasn't here. Where was he? With his other 18,000 men. And, like, the first time every time I watch this, I'm like, oh, fuck, yes. Yeah. Whenever they cut to Catelyn and Sir Roderick out in the woodlands.
Yeah.
You're already screaming King in the North when he's riding. And you see his face is all battles, just all roughed up, and you're just like, that's the fucking King of the North. He's on the only
white horse, like he stands out, he's riding strong.
The White Wolf.
Like, yeah! And then you see them toss Sir Jaime Lannister at the feet of Catelyn Stark, and it's like, yes, they've lifted the siege of River Run. And Jaime's army's been fucked up. Like half their army. 30,000 men. That's what they sent to besiege River Run. The amount that they just evened out the odds is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've ever really thought about how crucial this was.
It was 18,000 people total that the Starks had. They didn't even have 20,000. No. But they had 18,000. Robb just sent 2,000 to die. They're at 16,000 now. Stark. Lannister, they said there were 60,000 strong.
And 30,000 were besieging River Run.
That's
insane.
That's huge. Yeah, that's nuts. And they have Jaime. And they have a living Lannister. That is actually important to Tywin.
That is actually
massive victory. It's gigantic. And Jaime's like, you know what, Robb? Let's fucking do this. We could end the war right now, prevent any further bloodshed. Me versus you. Sword, teeth, fists, whatever the fuck you want. Me versus you, let's do it. Pick your weapon, let's get it on. And Robb's like, if we did it your way, you would win.
You would win.
We're not doing it your way.
Yeah.
I was like, I fucking love this guy. Yeah. God. And it just like, this scene just reminded me how much it hurts.
Yeah.
When he dies.
Man. Yeah, because even after he says everything badass, everyone behind him is like, yeah, like cheering behind him, like after he says like that, like, we're not doing it your way. The army's like, yeah, even though everyone's listening, and this is like this is so hype for them. They're witnessing history right in front of their eyes, war, and he's like, let's fucking go.
Dude, the way that he's like, he just like looks down at his hands and he's like, I sent 2,000 men to their deaths today.
No, because that is the real thing that you have to consider, which is like, even at the price of this, like, what did this victory drive us to? Like, I had to sacrifice 2,000 of my own men.
Like, and that was what I thought of as soon. Like, I was like, because I didn't remember the lines of dialogue necessarily. I did remember that he was like as soon as they were like, there were 2,000 men here. I was like, oh damn. Like, all 2,000 of those men knew they were gonna die.
Yeah. No, it's
like
it's
those are
insane.
some fucking real ones.
Yeah,
like the fact that they were just like for the North, like that's nuts.
Yeah.
Like respect.
So wait, so the 2,000 men went to go die. That's known. So Rob took. Was it the entirety of his other army to go?
I think so.
So it was everyone else. So it was everyone else. It wasn't like he took X amount of his army.
No, I think it was like we'll need as many as we can because they
everyone and they wiped. Yeah, okay. Man, I don't know. It's so cool to think of like the war moves. Like as like a turn-based game. It's like I don't know, kind of like just thinking of what's happening in the big picture.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
But, Rob then addresses his men, telling them that they have won a great victory, but the war is far from over. They have not done what they've set out to do, but they will, and this was a good first step. But
oh yes, the interactive map for Game of Thrones, that's really awesome. That like shows you can go for every episode to see where someone has traveled.
Right.
And Rob, it just shows, through episode 9, it shows him just going down to River Run. It's just really cool, like going down to River Run.
Oh fuck yeah!
And they're at the Whispering Wood right now.
Battle of the Whispering.
Yeah. That's where they're at right now. So it's crazy how detailed like everything is.
Map.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they passed down Fair Market and then entered the Whispering Wood, past the Red Fork, and into River Run. Obviously, passing through the Twins and Old Sons. So yeah. Obvious.
There you go.
We all know these places. Places.
Of course. But that does conclude the story in the Riverlands. And therein we head to the Wall where Lord Commander Jeor Mormont grants Jon Snow Longclaw. He had the pommel replaced with a wolf instead of a bear. And it's a thanks for saving his life from the living dead. And he reinstates Jon to his former position and tells him that he sent Alistair Thorne far, far away so that he can take a break from that piece of shit. And like I forgot that he gets Longclaw this early. I was like, oh man, like that's what it took. He saved his life once. He was like, well shit, my son's not here. Fuck it. I'll go ahead and give it to Jon. And what's even cooler is that Jon eventually offers this sword back to Jorah whenever they fight together at the Battle of Winterfell. Before that battle, he goes up to him and goes, "This was your father's. He gave it to me. I would like to give it back to you." And he's like,
"That's yours." He refuses it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yep. He goes, "That's yours, man. I disgraced my family long ago. I'm good."
Man, that's crazy that like hearing it now and fully realizing, like, because I remember my first watches, I did not put the connection of Jorah and like
Jeor,
like at all. I like not at all. Even hearing their last names, like all the time, like I did not put them together. But then like now, like how they were like, yeah, he disgraced our house and he had to leave. Like that was it's cool. Like House Mormont's like pretty sick. It seems like they're another.
You got little Lady house. Mormont later on in the show, who's an absolute fucking badass.
Yeah, they're all ballers. Like
they're all dope.
And Jorah's good. He just had one.
He fucked up once.
Damn it, Jorah! Like what, man?
Come on, Jorah.
You were doing so good. You were doing so good. And,
But Mormont explains to Jon that Longclaw was meant for his own son Jorah, but disgraced himself and fled into exile. He was nice enough to leave the sword behind. And Jon goes on to the dining hall, and the other recruits are like, "Oh shit, what's up? Let me see it." Like,
I want to see it in the light. Yeah, they hold it up like in the fire, looking at the pommel and everything.
The way that like he has someone else hold the fucking like the whole thing, he just and he holds it up for them.
They're literally like little kids, like at a summer camp.
Well, what's really interesting to me is that like they all knew he was going to get this sword.
Yeah.
They were like, "Come on now, let me see it." I don't know if they were like, "Well, clearly this man's going to get a reward for what he did," because he's like getting congratulated all the way there. They're like, "You earned that snow. Good shit, buddy. Yeah. You're a real one." And so maybe they just knew he was getting rewarded. Maybe they didn't know specifically what with, but maybe they saw the pommel and were like, "Oh shit, that looks like that." But nevertheless, Samwell Tarly seems a bit distant from all the celebration, and Sam's like, "I really shouldn't say," and John's like, "Yet you really want to say," and he tells him of Robb leading an army south, and John's like, "I should be there. Like, it's ridiculous that I'm not there. What the fuck?"
Imagine he does leave, like right now. Go set, like what? I don't know. That'd be nuts.
Different world.
Like, because that's the thing, is that a normal person that is, what's the word whenever you leave? Like, there's a word. Yeah, deserter. Like, normal deserters, they just get killed and beheaded, Like, we saw the guy at the very beginning of the show. Like, it's like he had no chance. He knew he was going to get beheaded, but John is John.
Nah.
Like,
I don't think that matters.
No. I know, but like, he has more of a chance of defending himself. He's like, no, I have to fight. I have to get to my brother. Once I get to my brother, then I'm good. I don't know. Like, what do you don't think?
No, Robb does it.
You think?
Robb, yeah, he's a Night Watch.
He is a man
Night Watch deserter. He's Ned Stark's son. He breaks an oath. It would have been absolutely devastating. Yeah, Robb would have done it though. Like, he's a man of honor. Man who passes the sentence shall swing the sword, man.
Oh,
it's just the way it is.
I'm glad it didn't happen that way.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Very glad.
Yeah.
Very glad.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe that's the first step in Robb, because he does break his marital oath and goes ahead and marries someone else. Maybe this is the first little gap in his armor, But regardless, John doesn't leave. He can't leave. And Maester Aemon goes ahead and calls him on over to tell him that his duty to the Night's Watch comes first. And to John's surprise, Aemon begins telling him a story about his full life. He's like, I was the son of Maekar, and my brother became king after him when I refused the throne.
Yeah,
I was like, wait a fucking minute. We're dealing with two rightful heirs to the Iron Throne right now.
Mm-hmm.
Aemon having an interaction right here.
Yeah.
Both of which refuse that duty, which is so fucking cool.
That's why my favorite line might actually come from Maester Aemon. And it's when he says, I am master of the Citadel, which is interesting because, like, aren't they not supposed to have, like, any titles at all? I guess there's, like, Lord Commander of the Night's Watch and everything. But, like, I don't know.
No, yeah, he's a maester. He's a maester.
But he's the grand. He's the
maester.
Oh, that's right. He's just a maester of the Citadel. Oh, that's right. I don't know why. I thought it was, like, he was the master for some reason.
No, he's just a maester.
But he says, like, he was bound in service to Castle Black and the Night's Watch, and I will not tell you to stay or go. You have to make that choice yourself and live with it for the rest of your days as I have. It's either that line or a line that's said later on.
Dude, whenever it starts and he's like, the gods saw fit to punish me, whenever they were like, they tested me when I was old and frail. When I heard that they were slaughtering my family, they were killing my brother's sons and their sons, and John's like,
who are you?
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Who are you? And I love it. He's like the son of a king, brother to another, and the uncle of the Mad King. Aemon had to, stand aside and do nothing. And like the way he's like still pissed about this.
Oh yeah.
Like he has a deeper, and what's even cooler is that even though he does have that deep resentment, you would think that would extend to the families of the people who led the army. Ned Stark was at the head of that army. Jon Snow is Ned Stark's son. He doesn't have any beef with Jon. He's here to talk to him. He's here to tell him how it is. And like, Jon's hearing the story going like, oh yeah, my dad led that army. Didn't lead the murder of those children, but he did lead the army that did it.
Does you think Maester Aemon knows?
No.
At all? Not at all? No chance of it at all?
Zero. He was at Castle Black the whole fucking time.
But he is a maester. He knows everything. That's all he knows. And he's obsessed with his family's history. And it's like his current, and he goes to the Citadel. I don't know. Can it be figured out? Like, how could it be figured out if with all the possible information? Because that's the thing, is that the only people that know are dead. Like, it's not written down anywhere. It's not like...
Yeah, it's not written that they had a child.
Yeah.
It is written somewhere that Rhaegar was wedded in a secret ceremony.
Oh.
Because that's what Sam reads, and that's how they put it together.
That's right.
Because
that's right.
Bran later on is like, oh, he's Jon Sand, not Jon Snow. And Sam's like, hold the fucking phone. No, he's not. Wait a fucking minute. No.
Who's to say that Sam, you think Sam was the first one to put it together? You don't think maybe a person who was directly in this family and way more passionate about it wouldn't have looked into...
Well, it's a distinct possibility, but there's no evidence that a child was born of that marriage.
That's true. Yeah,
that's the thing that's not written.
Yeah, because like, why would he ever suspect? Why would he ever suspect it in the first place?
Yeah,
and why would he look? Unless he's just so obsessed with his family history that he just stumbles upon it, which is like, it's never mentioned, so it's like, I guess it would just be headcanon at the most. So,
no, I think it would be cool though if Aemon did know, and that's why he takes such a mentorship role to Jon throughout the show. You know, like there's an episode in like season 5, I think, that's titled "Kill the Boy," where he gives just an epic speech to Jon about how he needs to become a man, and like you need to stop doing what you're doing. You need to kill the boy and become the man. And like, it would be really cool if throughout the entire run of the show, Aemon is aware of that and does take a specific kinship to him because he's his great nephew.
What if he's a dreamer?
Ooh, that'd be cool.
That's what I was wondering.
He's blind. He's a dreamer, dude.
He can see in other ways.
He's a dreamer, man. That's even, I don't know, that's even better.
That could be cool. That could be really cool. But
headcanon. That's my headcanon for right now. Aemon's a dreamer, and he knows about Jon through the dream, just because it's right there.
I can accept that.
He's the only one that has had the dream and the reality at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Damn, think of that.
Crazy.
Well, it always seems like he's looking at something.
If true, I'm saying it as fact, but yeah, I don't know.
No, but Aemon remarks that he cannot make Jon stay or go, but he must make a choice and live with the consequences of it for the rest of his life. You make a choice and you deal with those things. I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you what not to do. You're going to do what you want to do, and you're going to deal with it. And that concludes the story at the Wall. It was very brief scenes, but goddamn, did they wallop us with them? Those are good.
Yeah. Jon gets Longclaw, and he gets talked to by Maester Aemon. Like, actually,
his
like
great uncle.
Yeah, so really cool. Like, really cool stuff at the Wall.
Very cool shit. But
yeah.
Next, we're with a falling apart Khalasar over in Lazar, where Daenerys is concerned that the wound of her husband has festered and become infected. And he falls from his horse as he struggles to stay up. And Quotho rides up and is like, "This motherfucker ain't no call. Look at this piece of shit. He fell off his horse. That's it. He's done." And she's like, "Get me Miri Mazdur." And he's like, "The fucking witch? I will bring you her head."
Yeah.
How about that?
this is like this watch. I've like actually been like, no, I guess I know, what she does, and like it's like I don't know. Did she do this to like? Did she purposely make Call's condition worse, or did she actually try to heal that wound and then it just didn't work because medicine just sucks? Back then, like it would. I don't know.
Might have, but like he's riding around bare chested with a bunch of fucking dirt around him all the time. This dude was fucked.
He was going either way.
But so Quotho's like, fucking fine. I'll go get Miri. And he calls her a witch, spits on the ground and is like, fine. But then next, Jorah goes ahead and armors up, advises her, we should leave. Drogo's going to die. There is no doubt of this. He will be dead within the night. There will be fighting. Whoever wins that fight will be Khal. They will not want competition and will pluck the baby from your tummy and kill you. And kill the baby. It is safest if we ride now. Get the fuck out of here. Leave Drogo behind.
I guess I've never thought about like there's kind of this the lesson that Tyrion learned about his first wife in marriage, about how a woman doesn't invite you to bed after hours or an hour after an attempted rape. It's kind of Daenerys is inviting someone to heal the leader of the people that ransacked and murdered and raped and absolutely demolished their village or their people. Yeah. And it's like Daenerys is learning that lesson. She's not that compassionate in the future because of this. She gets her way, and if not, you get out of her way. Like, she makes you get out of her way.
This is formative. And there's this line that permeates throughout this entire episode that Maester Aemon says to Jon. Love is the death of duty. He says that line almost immediately after we cut from Robb agreeing to marry a Frey. He says that line immediately before we watch Daenerys stick by her husband's side when her duty is to get the fuck out of there. And Ned abandons duty later on in this episode in service of the love of his children. And it doesn't go well for him. It ends up killing him anyway. But love is the death of duty. That was the theme of this one. Everyone abandoned their duty for something they love, except for Tyrion. Tyrion did the thing.
He got lucky though. He got lucky, and he even says, "I was born lucky. I was born lucky." Didn't even mention that, or did we mention that his birth is what killed his mother as well? Like, that was like a precursor to the marriage story. So it was like even worse. It was like, or maybe Shay asked him about his mother or something like that.
Yeah, because he walks in and is like, "What did your mother call you?" And she's like,
"That's right."
And
that's
like,
before.
What did your mother call you? He's like, "She didn't call me shit. She died giving birth to me. What's up?"
That's right. That's right. Damn.
Yeah, no, but super sad life Tyrion has led. But nevertheless, Miri Mazdur here promises to save Drogo's life. When Daenerys goes, "Isn't there something you can do? Like magic?"
She's like, "Oh?"
Yeah, what's funny is that, like, I like the idea that she just thought she was a healer and then was like, I don't know, they keep calling you a witch. Can you do magic?
Can you do magic?
I don't like. It's just such a weird leap for Daenerys to take. I don't think I haven't gotten the impression up to this point that she actually believes this woman is a witch.
I think it's just she's so desperate because she's like, but it's like they're like, the Khal will die tonight. There's no question, and she's like, I have to do anything. What do I have? I have a witch. I'll believe in anything right now if it can save my husband.
Magic.
I think. Yeah, it's like she's just desperate.
she's like, a life for a life. That's how this thing works. And she's
she
like,
even
my
says,
life?
No, I think she was like, I think she was willing to. Like, she was saying that she was like almost willing to. She was like, oh, my life? Like, she was like, okay. Like, I like, in her voice, it kind of sounded like she was okay with it.
I don't know. A child in her stomach.
I know, but like, it's the way she said it. Like, I remember while watching that was like,
yeah, that's funny because I took it as a, oh, my life? I took it as like oh, you want like me? Because that's the
you
line.
Want me to
because that's the line.
We're good now. He can die. No, but she's like, no, not necessarily. Bring me his horse. And they start the ceremony, slit the animal's throat. She's like, all right, I need you to get the fuck out of here. It's about to get real ugly. The dead gonna dance in here tonight.
The dead gonna dance.
And they go ahead and walk on out of there. You hear some fucking demonic sounds coming from in there. What the fuck going on in there, homie? What the fuck going on? This is horrifying. Like, it's like, what the fuck?
No, you are 100% right, Colton. Daenerys is like, my death? She's like scared, not at all okay with it whatsoever. No. I don't know how
I took it as like okay, that might be where we go ahead and cut
maybe say okay.
Never mind.
Khal Drogo would have been pissed though if that happened anyway. Like, over his heir.
No fucking way. But she makes her way outside the tent covered in blood, and Jorah's like, what the fuck did you do?
We got on his armor,
I told you we could have fucking left. We'd be just fine. Now you are in grave danger. And Quotho comes up and is like, what the fuck you doing? Why there a witch in there? Why are there demonic sounds coming out of that tent? I don't like any of this. I'm going in there. And Jorah makes his choice. Again, I love the way Jorah just keeps going further and further and further into Daenerys' corner specifically. Draws his sword. And Quotho has no choice but to accept this challenge. He's already in the tent too. He's like shoulder in. He's like, okay, dude wants to fight me right now.
Yeah,
he has to. And in front of everyone too, saw him challenge. Like in their eyes, like if he goes into the tent, his wishes of being Khal, like that's what his ultimate goal is. You know, he wants to fight and win and be Khal. If he doesn't accept this fight and win, if he can't win this fight, then come on.
Well, that's what Jorah goes on later in this show to at some point like flex, like, I once killed a Dothraki blood rider in single combat.
He did do that though.
Yeah, and and that's the thing is that like he did do that, and like
kind of like the that's like second in charge too.
It's like a universal, like everyone you hear
everyone's
that,
like, everyone goes,
shit. Oh, this man can fuck a person up, huh?
Okay, he knows what he's doing.
But he got lucky that his armor got the shit stuck, and he went ahead and sliced his face with the sword. Very, very open, easy shot for him there, and he does kill him. Quotho goes down. R.I.P. Quotho. But
R.I.P. Quotho.
Daenerys then is like, holy shit, the baby's coming. And you're like, wow, there's a lot going on right now. There is so much happening. And one of the dudes comes up and is like very helpful to her. And he's like, yeah, I got you. But like, none of the midwives are going to help you. They say you're cursed. Don't know what that's about. I love that the Dothraki are just like on the fucking nose with all of the magic shit. Like their midwives are like, fuck no, baby, she's cursed. That baby gonna die. It's coming out all icky. Like,
And I mean, they were right. I mean, and he was just kind of like, well, the witch said that she could deliver a baby. I guess you could go there.
Like Jorah lifts her up and is like, all right, time to march into the demon realm. There's like the shrieks and demonic groans coming out of there, and he's just carrying her right in. And that is what concludes the storyline here with the Dothraki. It's a fucking goodie. It's a fucking goodie.
Next, we get like a stupid version of Khal Drogo just sitting on a rock, not able to comprehend anything, and then we get her going in, he's dead, and then freaking Daenerys comes out alive with dragons. So like it's insane. Like what I am so confused as to what happens in between there. Is that it? Is Khal just like revived and then just stupid for a little bit and everyone settles down because he's alive? And then I'm so lost on what happens with that story.
Yeah. It's pretty. I've always, this is the most new to me on the rewatch.
Well, she I think a bunch of the Khalasar leaves.
That's right.
They all a bunch of them take off before the funeral even happens.
It's a funeral, and it's like, stay or leave. Happens. We won't be mad if you leave.
Yeah. And then she emerges from the fire, and the rest of the Dothraki that stayed are like, "Oh shit, this is who we follow now." Because they all go to the knee.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think like there's a sect of them that like go off and are like, "Fuck this, I'm out." But that's what's crazy is like that's all I can't remember shit besides the end of that episode.
I know. And maybe it is just more drawn out. I don't know. Maybe it is just that is all it is. And it's just more drawn out throughout the episode.
I guess we get the tail end of the ritual. You know, we don't see what happens there.
Daenerys has to give birth.
Like Yoren like takes Arya aside and like cuts her hair and then like sends her off. Like he's like, "Boy, go do this, boy." And she's like, "I'm a girl." And he's like, "No, the fuck you're not.
No, you're not.
You're a boy now. Please get out of here and stay safe."
Yeah.
No, but that does bring us to King's Landing, the final scenes of the episode where. And what's funny is this is actually the very first scene of the episode, and immediately I was like, "Oh, that might be my favorite scene of the episode." I did not realize how closely tied Varys and Ned were. Like, a lot of the most important discussions for Ned in season 1 happen with Varys.
Yeah,
and if Varys does not go down there, Ned does not do what he does when he comes up.
Nope. Nope.
It is Varys that convinces Ned. 100%.
Absolutely. Varys visits him here and tells Ned that Sansa begged for his life before the whole court. And Ned's like, "Ha, did you laugh with the rest of them?" Is that what he's like? "Sir, you besmirch my honor. I am a good man." But he tells him Robb's leading an army from the north. "Robb's just a boy." And he's like the way Ned's just like, "God damn, everything's just going so bad. I am definitely going to die."
Yeah.
And in addition, the Queen is more concerned over the intentions of Stannis Baratheon. And Ned's like, again, that's the rightful heir. He is the heir to the throne. That's the one person who is a threat. And Varys urges him, for the sake of Sansa's life, to confess to treason, and in return he will take the black and join his brother and bastard at the wall. And Ned's like, "Are you fucking kidding? Do you think my life means that much to me?"
Yeah.
He was like, you really think my life means that much to me? And Varys goes on to tell him a story about how, you know, he grew up with a troupe of actors and he learned to lie, and he's a very good actor. He's good at blending in. And Ned ties that part of the story back around here and tells him, "You were a good actor. You learned it well. I grew up around soldiers. I learned to die a long time ago." And that is my quote of the episode.
It was so good.
Like, every rewatch that I've watched this episode, I'm like shocked that it shocked me Ned died.
No,
because like Ned is, for the last two episodes, I mean, like die. Obviously, like he's the main character. I'm like, how are they going to get out of this? They'll figure it out. No, but like the way he is talking, he's like, "I'm going to die.
Yeah, that's
guarantee
true.
I will die.
Mm-hmm.
I have no doubts."
Well, and it's something that makes it's something that makes Ned one of the better characters, because at the same time as he can have the moral compass that he does, he also understands the brutal nature of the world that he's in. And he understands it fully. Like, he's not deceived. He's not going to be caught in a vulnerable position like Daenerys was. He already has gone through all that. Or even Robert, honestly. Robert still didn't take that lesson to heart.
I was trying, to think of all the different ways that Ned could have gone about this, to make it better. And, I was thinking, okay, what if he just goes off and tells everyone the truth? But then I'm like, no one's going to believe him because they're all accusing him of treason, and it's a madman. No one's going to believe what he's trying to say.
He literally did the only thing that could have saved his life, and it didn't save his life. Yeah. This man was going to die.
There's nothing that he could have done. So it is insane that it shocked us that he died. There was I guess we didn't know Joffrey was just going to be an absolute cock. I guess. So,
I know. At this point,
I guess we didn't know that. But
Joffrey felt like very much a non-factor. Like the kingship in itself felt like a bit of a non-factor throughout the season, because Robert was until this, where you're like, oh, they have a lot of power. And nobody can do anything about that.
Because he gets up there and he's like, I am Ned Stark, Warden of the North and Hand of the King. And Joffrey's like, bring me his head. This
freaking 12-year-old kid. How old is Joffrey?
I think he's 14, but a kid, straight up child.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is ridiculous. But Varys once again says that he should reconsider his choice, as Sansa would pay the price for his defiance, to be sure. And it leaves him to think on that until he is brought before the Sept of Baelor later on. But we then see Arya Stark living rough out on the streets of King's Landing, and I was like, whoa! Weird to see her on the streets of King's Landing, because the last time we see her on the streets of King's Landing, Daenerys is burning that shit down.
Yeah.
And she's running around the streets, figuring out a way to get out of there. Oh man, there's just a lot that just stuck out to me about the imagery here. And she sees a crowd moving through the streets. She's like, where are you guys going? They're like, the Hand of the King is being brought to the Sept of Baelor. And she's like, oh, fuck.
Shit.
And stunned that she will see her father, she drops the pigeon and joins the crowd, but unable to see, she climbs onto the pedestal of the statue of Baelor. Baelor was a Targaryen king, by the way. Baelor the Blessed. And she sees her father being brought out in chains to the steps of the temple. He sees Arya on the statue immediately, and he is dragged through the crowd. And as he passes Yoren, he yells, Baelor, Baelor, which is where this episode got its fucking name.
And this is why it might be my favorite line, other than the Maester Aemon line.
Oh, dude, just him saying Baelor?
Because it clicked this time. I had zero clue what Baelor meant before, at all, until this watch. This is where it clicked. I'm like, okay. Baelor, I knew it was the episode title, but I didn't know that it was a previous king. I didn't know that it was someone that they saw as merciful and that they worship now, I guess.
Well, he's
it's precedent. I guess it's their precedent.
Oh, we're gonna be religious and we're gonna love our gods and stuff. Be forgiving, law.
So I guess, I don't know. It is a little strange, but now it clicked that he was telling, I did not know the statue was of Baelor. I didn't know. I didn't know that he was saying that's where Arya is, and it just makes it so much better that that's the link of it. And
it makes it so much better that it's he found the one person in the crowd who would have even the slightest inkling of trust in Ned, the brother of Benjen, the father to Jon, a couple of his Night's Watch brothers, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I'll... Ned went up there knowing he was going to die.
Yeah.
He even confesses, and he knew he was going to die. Like he goes, like he tells him Baelor, and he looks around, and he finds Baelor, and he sees Arya, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm on it.
Yeah, that's my favorite line.
It's too good, man.
Yeah,
it is good.
Like it like having it click too this time, like actually knowing what it really means, and like I don't know, and then after what happens,
this was the first time in the rewatch that I got emotional. Like as soon as Arya climbs on the pedestal of Baelor and he walks out there, like my heart starts beating fast. I start like,
yeah,
like oh, it's happening, like it's happening, like
already, like that's what's crazy is I know how this scene goes.
Yeah,
and that's what makes it hurt even worse.
Yeah,
is that, like even the first time I watched this, obviously, like I'm like, he's going to confess. It'll be fine. We'll be chilling. I'm like, I'm not even worried. And then he gets his head cut off. And then I have all those emotions where I'm like,
yeah, you're like,
like, wait, means he's dead.
I remember not even conceiving of that. Like, I was just like, whoa, like, all right, so after this, there's going to be some kind of reset. Like, something big is going to happen. Something's going to change.
Yeah, they can he's a wolf. Maybe their heads can go back on in this he's not like dead, right? Like no, he's not dead. That wasn't Ned. That was a lookalike that Varys got. That would have been actually pretty sick. Got a lookalike. To go out in front of everyone. Does everyone know what Ned looks like? Obviously, the people of the council do, but like,
beyond that out. But Ned is given a chance to confess his crimes here, and he weighs his choices as he sees both Arya and Sansa, and chooses to save them by making a false confession. He says that Joffrey is the true king on the Iron Throne, that he tried to commit treason and get the throne for himself.
Why do you have to put himself like? I guess he had to come up with some lie that would be reason enough for why he committed this treason. Yeah,
that's what he stood accused of.
Okay. Yeah. Man, it's like, it's just so sad that like watching it happen, like Ned just being like the most honorable man for his entire life, doing everything in the name of honor, and then like the public will forever like remember Ned. Well, I guess only during this time.
There's like that stint where Arya's over in Bravos and they're doing like the street performance, and there's that dude who is playing Ned Stark and is like, I'm a big old fucking dumbass and I'm going to try and steal the throne for myself. Like he does the ridiculously dumbass voice, and like,
yeah,
that's so sad.
Like this is how Ned Stark will be remembered in history books.
Yeah.
I mean, Bran takes over and stuff, so I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of rectification of that. But regardless, after his confession, Grand Maester Pycelle stands and extols the virtues of mercy, as Baelor the Blessed believed in. There is light in confession. What will be the ruling Joffrey? And Joffrey stands. He does the little wave, like, yes, everybody, hello, it is me, Joffrey Baratheon. Yes, hi. So Sansa begged for his life, my beloved. Beautiful lady.
Beautiful.
My mother wants me to send him to the wall. These are admirable things, but these are the feeble hearts of women. Am I right, fellas? Am I right? Everybody starts cheering. Sansa goes stone face. Arya gets scared, and he yells, Sir Ilyn, bring me his head. The crowd goes up in an uproar. The music starts building. It starts swelling. I'm like, oh, I got chills. I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like shaking over here. I've watched this before. That's just how good this is. And Arya tries to climb down, make her way through the crowd, drawing her sword to save her father. She tries to get there, and Yorn grabs her, stops her, looks at her, tells her, look at me. You don't want to see this shit. holds her against his chest and is like, nope, not right now. And Sansa's screaming and screaming and screaming. Varys runs over and is like, I think having the same conversation Yoren is having with Arya and is like, please look away. Like you.
Well, Varys runs over to Cersei and is like yelling at Cersei and Joffrey at first.
Oh.
He's like, yo, like, no, you cannot do this. Like at first he's like, no, like this cannot happen. And then I think he runs over to Sansa after that. After he realized,
Cersei does her best to persuade Joffrey to stop it.
That's true. Yeah, Cersei's like, no, Joffrey.
She's like, this is going to be a lot of things you don't want to deal with. I promise.
You're a little fucking idiot, buddy.
Yeah.
You can't do this. But there's no time. Forced to kneel, the music drops out. Ned looks at the statue and sees that Arya's not there. Yoren did his job. He looks around, and this is what made Sean Bean's performance just sealed the fucking
hands down.
Like the resolve that comes to him in this, like the panic at first, him like the music drowning out, the noise drowning out, him looking around like, oh my God, I'm about to fucking die. I'm going to fucking die. And then sees his daughter safe. He looks down, exposes the nape of his neck, and Sir Ilyn draws his own sword. Ned's sword. This is ice that he uses to cut his head off.
Yep. And Joffrey didn't even do it himself. The man who gives the sentence.
Passed the sentence did not swing the sword.
Nope.
And, a flock of pigeons takes flight immediately as his head is chopped off. And we cut to black with the sight of Arya knowing her father is dead.
I love the difference between Arya and Sansa during the entire scene, because when Ned is first coming out, Sansa is smiling. She's like, I got you in, like, I did it, Dad. Like,
I cut you a deal.
I got you out of this. Like, it's all gonna be okay. And then you have Arya, she's worried the entire time. She's not a moment of happy, And then Arya's worry only gets worse and worse and worse, but then gets comforted, and like she sees doves. That's what she sees in the sky. Like, that's what that's what she'll remember the day. Obviously, is like one of the worst days of her life, but she will only have the visual of doves flying in the sky. That's all she can remember. But like Sansa has a clear view.
Saw it.
She was looking the whole time, screaming the whole time, and like that's exactly what Ned wanted to prevent. And he knew that he could really only do it with one daughter, and Sansa already kind of betrayed, in the first place. So go save my daughter. Go save me over there, my mini me.
My mini me.
I will never forget when I first showed this show to Emily. Oh no, man! Like this was a consoling job like none I've ever had.
Yeah.
Because she hates when I show her a show where characters you like die. When I showed her Stranger Things and Stranger Things 2, she was like, "Bob's gonna be okay, right? Bob's gonna be okay, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, Bob will be fine."
Bob will be fine. Bob is going to a good place.
And like she was like, I never even had to answer that question for Ned, because like we were talking about, she never thought he was in trouble. He was fine. He was gonna figure out a way out of it. And got his head cut off, and she cried for 15 minutes after the episode ended. I was like, I am so sorry. We do not have to watch this anymore if you don't want to. And she's like, I'm too deep now.
Well, and that's the crazy thing is this isn't even the finale. Like this happens and you're like, what could be more pivotal than this? Like,
and then they do some shit that's more pivotal than this.
Yeah.
They give Dany her dragons.
And now I'm thinking of the whole episode, and we do keep track of two things currently. Hodors, we didn't get a Hodor.
No Hodors.
It's okay. I think they made up for it. We did get another addition to the Arya kill list.
She did snap that pigeon's neck.
She killed a pigeon. Yep. She's random stable boy and pigeon so far. Arya has killed. About to be everyone up there on the High Council. About to be if she wasn't stopped. Just a pigeon for now. She'll get to those people later.
So in Hodor's penis.
Yep. We got Hodor's penis. I mean, that's pretty big. You got to include that on the data. You know, we have to have that data.
It's literally pretty big.
Yes. That man has giant's blood in him.
That man's got giant's blood if I've ever seen it. But with that, we do have to declare favorites. I think we're all caught up, save for Tavarus's scene and line. Do you got a favorites there?
Scene, I really do think that when we transition over to King's Landing at the beginning of the whole Ned situation, you contextualizing the viewer via Arya, I think, was a really great decision because that it gives you this sort of help. It gives you the helplessness that Arya is feeling and that the viewer is also feeling that helps the emotions land of the scene. And so I think that that's a really important part of how this episode is constructed. So I'll go with that for my scene. And in terms of line, I got a second Sean Bean's quote. You know, I've always, what was it?
Just Baelor or prepare to die. Yeah,
that one.
So good.
It's just good. You hear that and you're just like that is the essence of this show in a way. It's drawing to that distinction.
There we go. I think the only difference, is Colton, you have Rob returning from battle, being humble as your scene, but me and Tavarus both have Ned's death, basically, as our scene. I knew that
scene would get the love it needed, so I was like, I'll go ahead.
Y'all got Ned Stark and Sean Bean for the performance and character. That's pretty much without a doubt.
Chance.
Yeah. And then I just had Baelor instead. Which, I mean, the actual line that I watched that scene, the opening scene, and I'm like, oh, that's the line. I'm like, that's just the line of the episode.
So close to being my scene. Like, when it opened with that, I was like, oh, I don't think they'll be able to top that in this episode. Nope. And frankly, I don't know if they did critically. Like, that was a fantastic looking scene. The dialogue was immaculate. Varys and Ned having just
fire. It started with pitch black. The flame started to come up and his eyes were blurred and then it slowly got better. Like it was so like his pupils, it showed like his pupils being dilated and then getting smaller with the flame in the reflection of his pupil. It was like, oh my God.
They zoom in on one eye and you can just see the flame in it. And I was just like, oh my God, this is fucking gorgeous. And that's going to lend itself really well to the rating of this episode. Enjoyment wise, are we at a surefire 10? You think?
Gotta be at least.
I don't have any hesitation.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't have any hesitation for me. I don't know this because I was coming into this episode thinking I was going to enjoy it. Not enjoy it, but like it will be a resonant episode just because of what happens at the end. And then I realized how much cool shit happens in the episode as well. Tyrion's whole storyline was so fun. Them just hanging out and drinking and fucking was awesome. Daenerys going crazy and trying to save Khal. Like that actually happening. I'm like, oh my God, this is like insane that this is happening. Jorah, freaking like, I don't know. It's crazy how much actually happened in this episode. So I'm like, this was like, everything I'd want in a Game of Thrones episode, or everything I expect the episode was going to be, and more.
It's very, very well-rounded, very balanced. I think that's what you looked for when you're looking for a Game of Thrones episode, because you're dealing with so many different characters, so many different kinds of plots and storylines that you want a taste of everything that makes those good, each of those good in every episode, because they're all amazing. And this is one of the I won't say few that accomplishes it because there are numerous that accomplish that, but this is one of the standout ones for sure.
No doubt. Yeah, this is fucking brilliant. And to that note, it would probably be a 10 out of 10. Genre-wise, as far as what we know a Game of Thrones episode to be, it would be a 10 out of 10.
It plays that lighter into the fantasy super well.
Yes, it does. The only place it might fall a little bit is critical rating, and it won't fall much. This is one of the best episodes of the series. It is far and away the best looking of the of season 1. I do think we get better, so I don't want to go ahead and label it as a perfect episode of television, but it's as close as you can get.
I think it's a 9.5.
I was even 9.75.
I think there is even still improvement, because that's the thing, is that this, although very real, very kind of grounded still, they do the same thing while incorporating a Night King and dragons and way more houses, and that's the thing, is the room for improvement actually is insane. Think about season 6. Think about Battle of the Bastards. Think about that
they
episode.
Just had so much more. They had so much more money to really flesh out things that they alluded to perfectly.
And putting it at a 9.5 still makes it the best episode of the season. The only one that comes close is A Golden Crown, episode 6. So at a 9.25. So, I think it's either 9.5 or 9.75. I think that's the for sure thing.
I am 1,000% okay with a 9.5.
Yeah, I think a 9.5.
Because it still puts the episode out to a 9.83. So that's pretty good. IMDb gave it a 9.6 out of 10.
I guarantee you, Rotten Tomatoes has this at 100.
100. It's probably unnecessary to look it up. But
it's had other episodes at 100, and if this isn't at 100, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. If not, I will actually personally write Rotten Tomatoes a handwritten letter about how the rating system is screwed up and wrong. And man, it's so convoluted to get to the rating per episode, but I'm finally there. And yes, it is 100%. Thank God.
There it goes.
So, yeah, amongst the top critics, every single one of them has rated it a 10 out of 10. So, there you go. Yeah, I guess at the time, this is a 10 out of 10. In 2011, before they knew what this show was going to be, this was an all-time episode. Yeah. So,
can't blame them. Can't blame them one bit. It's damn close for us, and we have seen all of it. 98% is nothing to fuck with. Baelor is going to be a top-tier episode of this show for a long time. I don't know that... it'll be interesting. How many episodes do you think even have a chance of touching that level? I'm going at least one a season, at minimum.
Yeah, I can't think of more than one episode.
Every episode 9 or 10, pretty much. It's those will be the ones that will have the chance. But then there's also just some episode 3s and just random episodes that are thrown in there that are probably just really good that we are not thinking,
not remembering.
So no, I think it's and this is season 1. Although it built the world very, very well, they only get better as they go on, and only more into the world. So,
right.
I think it's very possible that we have 9.25s, 9.5s consistently, kind of I don't know.
Certainly around 3 and 4 wise could happen.
I guess we started in the 8s, even into the 7s, and then after episode 5, it was just 9s consistently. And we said that was kind of the episode where they really found their style and they're honing in, and they don't break away from that. It's it is just Game of Thrones for the rest of the time. So we haven't given anything below a 9. Actually, last episode we gave an 8.75. Whoops. But okay, still basically a 9 critically.
Yeah.
A 9.42 overall. So every episode is very good, and that makes sense because this is just some of the best television there is. It does make sense that this is up there on the scale.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. But with that, we conclude the first penultimate episode of Winter is Blooming. Season 1 is almost at a close, and we will wrap it up in the new year.
Oh,
Lord. Now it'll be the first episode of the new year for us, which is very, very cool. I cannot wait to discuss the finale next week, man. I'm so fucking excited because this show has been so much fun to cover. I can't believe we're already at the end of season 1.
I know.
We only got, 7 left?
Think about the literal time that we've taken to watch the show and cover it is the actual time that's taken place in the show. Yeah. Actually just a couple of months, is actually how much time has taken place versus House of the Dragon, where you get a 5-year jump out of just in between episodes,
right?
Which is, it's hilarious. That's funny. But yeah, no, it's going to be awesome to wrap up season. It's crazy that season 1's already done.
Yeah, pretty much. I love it. But this was a good one. And with that, we will conclude this episode of Winter is Blooming, a Game of Thrones rewatch podcast. If you would, head to patreon.com/CoroBloom to find over 50 hours of exclusive content. I'm back on my weekly pull lists bullshit. I got a bunch of comic book reviews over there for you. We keep doing random little Patreon bits for you over there. Tons of content. And for $3 a month, you can support this podcast in a more meaningful way than anybody else financially, because that shit is shit's a huge help. It costs me money. I don't make any off of it unless it is over there. So it'd be a huge help. If you would, head to Twitter, follow @PennyBloomPod, and I guess I can promote it here, but not on Twitter. Follow on Instagram @PennyBloomPodcast.
Yo, that's just wild. That's just wild.
But leave a 5-star rate and review. Those ratings and reviews help us like crazy. Need those for the search matrix. That'd be absolutely awesome. Please leave a 5-star rate and review. Share with a friend. That'd be a huge help as well. I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. I was also joined by Tavarus Pennington. Thank you very much, homie.
No problem. You know how we do it.
We do be do. But with that, keep coming back. We got the 52-year journey through film concluding this Friday.
Oh.
The award show concluding this Saturday. The end of the year marks the end of that project. We're heading into the comic book journey through film in next Friday. Next Friday is when that shit starts. So I'm so excited, and I can't wait for you guys to hear that, because we've had just a great plethora of guests come on and help us hone that project. It's been so much fun, even more fun than the 52-year journey through film, and that was so much fun. But I can't wait for you guys to hear it. We're wrapping up our latest Star Wars draft next week. Round 2 is coming on Wednesday. Very excited for you guys to hear that. And then the Bad Batch comes back next week, and we will be trying our best to cover that week to week as we possibly can. That'll be on Rebellion's Bloom. So I'm very excited for everything we've got going on. We're busy lads, but we love doing it. So remember, peace, love, and bloom. And Baelor.